Christmas.
Let me hear you sing.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one open sleigh. Hey.
How do you say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in French?
Joyeux Noël et bonne année.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Boats wrapped up, round up out in the outer harbor, and proceed by the harbor master's boat dock over here, where 4 clergymen will be on hand to bless the boats as they pass. Then they proceed back out of the harbor again.
Well, I'm 90 and a half. I'll be 91 in June. And I defy anybody to tell me I look it, because I know I don't.
What was it actually like? I mean, obviously the school bus didn't come and pick you up in 1897.
School bus? There was no such thing as a school bus. You went on your own 2 feet.
My name is David Troutman. I'm the Community Access Coordinator for Larchmont and Marinette Community Television, channels 35 and 36.
Standing here in front of a very interesting...
This is a model of the new addition to the library, and it really, Ann Hochman made it. It's an absolutely beautiful rendition of what the new addition will look like.
Looks fabulous.
We're very proud of it. The lobby of the Emlyn, this will connect the library with the Emlyn Theater, and we'll have a brand new lobby for the Emlyn, which we're all excited about. Plenty of room, a meeting room, the director's office, a room for the Historical Society, quiet study space. We're very, very pleased with
this is very thrilling. What a nice addition to our wonderful community. Come over here, Frank. Are you being successful here at the stand?
Oh yeah, we're running out of hot dogs. Isn't that good?
Welcome to the Best of LMC-TV in 1985. I'm Marianne Sullivan, President of the Board of LMC-TV. This past year, over 90 programs have been produced at our studios at Mamaroneck High School.
Cancer has Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Neptune in opposition. So this is not exactly an easy month for Cancerians. They are very sensitive and they tend to suffer in silence.
Undeniably, people can argue about just about anything, no matter how small. But the one thing that brings us all together is the holiday season.
Hi, welcome again to our show. I'm Russell Harvey, and welcome to Russell Harvey Almost Live.
And our guest tonight is the mayor of the village of Mamaroneck, Paul Noto. Paul, I'd like to thank you for being our first guest in this inaugural program.
Mike, I'm honored. I think LMC-TV is an exciting resource in the community, and unfortunately it's probably the best kept secret in town, and I'm very happy to participate, and I hope this is the first of many, many such shows, because we have a lot of people in the community I'm sure other people would like to hear from.
Mike Cocci here is the switcher for the show. Are you not?
Hello. Yeah, I'm fine. This is the switcher.
I didn't ask you how you were. I said, are you the switcher?
Yes, I am the switcher of the show.
Okay. What is this gizmo behind you? You want to tell people what that is and what it does?
Sure. It's this here gizmo. This is what we call the switcher.
It's always been a wonderful town. I'm part of it. I know Steve is too. We couldn't, we wouldn't want to go anyplace else to live.
Then you think that the changes that they've had in Mamaroneck have not been bad, but they've just kind of been good.
They've been, oh yes.
I think
they really have been
as a
good
community.
changes.
The study commission did something that's never been done before in a community like this. It found out what the people of the community wanted.
4 years ago, LMC-TV started, and today we have a live audience, and we have a birthday cake, and boy, if the camera could only swing over and show a table full of goodies.
I know what you are, but why don't you look right over here so we can see what you are?
An elephant.
Look at that. Turn to the side view.
This week, I've got someone whom I work with every day. His name is Joe Windish, and he's LMC-TV's brand new Community Access Coordinator.
I've been telling people to stop by anytime you want to stop by. So I get here and there's people stopping by all day long, and I'm like, oh, I don't have time, I'll be right with you.
Good evening, I'm Pat Latona.
And I am Walter Reichman.
And welcome to another edition of Our Times, a community news program about you and for you.
I didn't feel that I was entertained, and I didn't think seeing this movie was worthwhile, except to
I have to disagree with you. I loved the music. I loved the characters.
This is part of the gala grand opening of the LMC-TV Studio 2. This is our second studio. We're standing in the Emlyn Theater lobby in Mamaroneck right now. If you're watching this, this is your TV studio. You can use it. Thanks, Ned. This is our new brochure. Just in case you may have not seen it. You probably haven't because it just came out.
Excuse me. Wait a minute. Can I have an interview, please? Excuse me. Wait.
Your first kiss. You're on the air.
I'd like to wish a happy Valentine's Day to my Valentine.
You can only turn your head so far, and you've got to stop. This eagle, he can swing his head, look right behind him, and keep turning it and look over there. He can turn his head 3/4 of a circle.
I'm going to share some of these photographs with you, these unidentified photographs, these footprints.
But if you receive cut flowers and you're going to put it in your own vase or it comes in a vase, the best thing to do then would be to change the water every day.
And would you also cut the stem if possible?
Right. You always, whenever flowers are out of water, you always cut the stems.
The couch there is that it has been treated with trichloroethane, okay, which is known by its brand name of Scotchgard, and it makes the couch extremely stain resistant.
We did have some hard times at home, and there was this attention, you know, Matt's getting a little bit more attention, why is that type problem, but I think they were very scared.
Listen, Ethel, I can't talk to you right now. Why not? Well, I'm doing a show. Where? It's at the, the Chamberlin. What? Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Gremlin. It's a Gremlin. Hold on a minute.
Something else that you can be aware of, when the camera is loaded, you can release this cartridge for cleaning purposes. Also, in here, if you forgot what film you're working with,
Light a rose, oh, won't you be mine? Oh, mine.
performing arts in the village of Mamaroneck. It's LMC-TV's third annual awards night, featuring guest speaker Robert Geller, award-winning producer and director. And now, LMC-TV's board president, Sonny Goldberg, and executive director, Joe Windish.
Good evening. Wow, what an opening. Pretty neat, huh? I'm really glad to be here tonight because it's neat that Access has become so in. You all probably saw a film which is a #1 box office hit, Wayne's World, which made Access a household word. However, I take issue with the way they talked about Access and the way they showed Access, because we here at LMC-TV and in Larchmont Mamaroneck could really show them a thing or two. To me, what Access is all about is our town in a nutshell. It's walking down the street and smiling at somebody because you think you know them, you recognize them, you really don't know them, but maybe you saw them on television. It's viewing the Fireman's Carnival in January and remembering what a good time you had maybe in June or July. Access is my friend Ruth knocking on the door this morning with fresh brownies, and my friend Lori Lynn with her fresh cookies, and everybody working together and volunteering and helping out to the best of their possible ability. My daughter Lily and her Mamaroneck High School friends always coming to volunteer to help out at LMC-TV to make it a terrific show, whatever we're doing. And it's the ladies who sat in the front outside as you came in. It's the people who passed out the journals. It's all of the guys down here. It's Joe, it's Mike, it's Brian, it's volunteers. You're the people who make it what it is. And it's become so much a part of us here in Larchmont Mamaroneck that it made our community smaller and much more user-friendly. So I am so proud to be a part of this organization and to have watched it, like you all watched it, grow and get more sophisticated and become the wonderful success it is today. And I thank you all for sticking with us as we grew, going through our growing pains, and I hope you'll stay with us because it's a terrific organization. Thanks.
Community groups and individuals produced nearly 700 programs here last year, and they can be seen now on 2 channels. Channels 35 and 36 are both showing video programming from 10 in the morning until 2 in the morning, Monday through Saturday. We're very pleased with that. And soon, we're told, by the fall, we hope, we're going to have a 3rd channel, and so we're very fortunate for that. Tonight, we're here to celebrate all the individuals who have come together to make these channels work. And to highlight the accomplishments of a special few who have used LMC-TV most effectively.
Lots of them have used it very effectively. It brings to mind a little girl that I ran into as I was coming out of the studio a couple of days ago, who was all dressed up, and she had sparkles in her hair and makeup on her face, and she was holding her mommy's hand, and she said to me, "I'm going to be on television." And that's what it's kind of all about. So it's been a terrific year, and to show you, or certainly to welcome you tonight officially, it is our pleasure to have Congresswoman Nita Lowey, Westchester's own Congresswoman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. What a special privilege it is for me to join this wonderful party this evening. Last year, I recall, I sent a tape from Washington because we were busy doing legislation, but you really can't get the flavor and the excitement, so it's a real joy for me to be here with you personally, and I want to congratulate you, Sonny and Joe and the entire team and all of you out there who've made LMC-TV so very special and have performed such an important community service. As I look back upon the years that you have provided service to the community, you have been so important in educating our community, in elevating the level of consciousness of all our community residents on important issues, and thereby focusing our attention on these issues to enable us to get important things done. You've worked on a whole range of issues, and I am very happy to look back with you and think that I had perhaps some little part in your programming. So I want to congratulate all of you, and especially all the volunteers. You know, in these days of trashing politicians, trashing people who get involved, what has made LMC-TV so special is all the people who have come here and worked hard to make it so very special and made our community even stronger than it has been. So congratulations. I look forward to working together with you for many years to come. It's all of you that have made LMC-TV the success that it is. Thank you.
You all have probably seen Nita on our channel. She's been a wonderful fan, and she's been a wonderful supporter, and we appreciate her coming tonight. She is a very busy lady. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this evening, Robert Geller. You all have a journal or your handout, and it's got a whole list of his bio. It says that he's president and the executive producer of Learning in Focus and Seacliff Productions, and he's just won about every award from the Peabody to the Blue Ribbon Prize of American Film. And Mr. Geller is a long-time, significant supporter of public broadcasting, which we're privileged to see on Channel 13. I could go on and talk, but if I had to think of a couple words to describe Bob Geller, I think it would be quality programming. He is so unusual. I mean, in the way he presents his programs, if you've seen anything, you know that his productions are beautiful, the shots are beautiful, his scripts are absolutely fantastic and so well done. Everything is written perfectly. His actors and actresses are the finest. He's just about the best, and we in Larchmont are very, very privileged to have him living in our community, Larchmont and Mamaroneck, and we thank Bob for coming. Now, Bob Geller. Actually, I should say one thing more. Bob came to the Emlyn one night and introduced somebody, and he was introducing the speaker, and I was so excited with his introduction, I thought, gosh, don't sit down, just keep talking. You were terrific, and last year it was somebody's birthday, and you were busy, but today we got you, and we're thrilled to have you. That's right. Oh, congratulations. No? Okay. I was going to say, what a nice person you are to do that on your birthday.
The only other thing that would have kept me away would be the sixth game of the Nick basketball
I hope you have it on
championship.
tape. Do you have it on tape?
I'm going to have it taped,
Good,
yes.
okay. Thank you.
Sure. When I was called, I guess about 5 or 6 weeks ago by good friend Frank Light, and he asked if I would be keynoter. It wasn't any sense of modesty. I suggested that maybe what might work better is a question and answer in terms of what does an executive producer do theoretically. And if those of you in the audience have seen Robert Altman's The Player, it's not what I really do for a living. I don't take great pride in destroying writers or getting in the way of the creative process. What executive producers do it's so multifaceted, it almost interferes with the excitement and the celebration of this night. And I must tell you that the origins of community access have had many godfathers. George Stoney, who's a longtime friend, was an advocate of community access. I think fought for its principles, its unwillingness to surrender to the sameness of other larger cable stations which promise diversification, and yet you get no more than a little more nudity or profanity than you get on broadcast television. And the fact that this wonderful enterprise has succeeded and done so well. Wayne's World is a parody. But if you looked around at some of the community access and cable of yesteryear, the most you could hope for without wonderful volunteers and creative people in a community like this is literally watching a gerbil on a wheel for the better part of a day in Terre Haute, and that constituted live television. And if you wanted to increase your ratings, maybe you put another gerbil in the wheel, and you ended up with a much more captive audience. I do get to look at 36 and 35, and particularly this year, not because I thought I'd be volunteered to say things about quality television, but if you talk about the ideal format for community access, to deal with education and know your schools, current updating on health issues, political agendas, civic responsibilities, and problems of keeping a community's environment intact and improving upon it, it really is about as diversified and astounding when you mention 700 different programs. And I'm not talking about the necessity of, on occasion, putting a camera in the back of a room and seeing a lot of heads and saying, I think I recognize that person. Talking about the amount of talent that goes into producing the material that's on 36 and 35 night after night. I don't know how many of you are old-time residents of the community, and this is not nostalgia night, but actually what I do for a living is in large part attributable to what I did at Mamaroneck High School way back in the early 60s. I chaired the English department. I was lucky enough to be able to institute courses in film and fiction. When I left for a sabbatical that turned out to be a 25-year hiatus, I was lucky enough to get some forward money, and Mamaroneck became a pilot study, and several of the outstanding teachers in the elementary school spent an entire summer learning how to use television and trying to become media literate in the close to the post-McLuhan age. So I've tracked what television is all about. There was a grant made of hardly state-of-the-art equipment. Mike Witch was one of my wonderful students when I taught it at the new school. So I feel a tremendous connection above and beyond what tonight is all about. So I'm very proud for all of you and excited that this celebration means that you've been around for a long time and you grow and grow because of a wonderful ongoing staff and apparently volunteers who consider this one of the most exciting parts of their lives. So I congratulate all of you, whether you're award winners or not, and those of you who are not here who are watching it, you're very lucky to have this kind of talent and this kind of commitment. So what do executive producers do? I've done 21 short stories, and they are not necessarily stories done for television, but how one distinguishes what movie making is all about. I recall when I worked at the American Film Institute, and the director had said that never will I ever allow my father's films to be seen on television. And I thought, that was late 60s. You know, would anyone have guessed that with all of the high tech and care that goes into feature filmmaking, that you'd run down to Blockbuster and pick up 6 of those things about the size of a postage stamp. So the distinctions between what's television, what's feature, the fact that Wayne's World came from a skit on Saturday Night Live and became a feature film, that The Addams Family, which was kind of campy some 15 years ago, became a bestseller. The boundaries are really very hard to distinguish. And when you have people in charge of the movie business who've come from television, my fear is that, without being a Jeremiah, is that quality really will become far less important than the marketplace. That's not news. I've been lucky enough to work in a world where the marketplace was not the primary issue. Almost all of what I've done with quality writers like Faulkner or Fitzgerald or Hemingway or James Baldwin or Saul Bellow have been funded by primarily one government agency, the National Endowment for the Humanities, the good National Endowment Agency. And in 1974, I was asked if I would accept a modest grant and work with a quite competent filmmaker to pick 200 stories that might celebrate the bicentennial. This was 1976. And I've always loved stories, and when I taught at Mamaroneck, a good number of the copies of 9 by Salinger or Hemingway's In Our Time, I had done all kinds of image scans in terms of, boy, if I were lucky enough someday to do one movie, this is the way I'd like to make it look. And I've kept my Hemingway collection because one of the many nepotistic things I did is I adapted Hemingway's Soldier's Home and felt a tremendous responsibility to the voice and the sensibility of a writer. The question about whether good literature makes for lousy movies is cocktail party chat. Certainly if you have material where the voice of the writer can almost be heard, whether it is Salinger or Saul Bellow or the richness of Faulkner, there's going to be a lot lost when you move from the wonderful power of print to icons this large. And instead of looking at Tommy Wilhelm in Seize the Day, you're looking at Robin Williams. And Robin Williams was, for my modest budget, the best choice I could make, but it's no longer going to be what Saul Bellow's voice was saying. So I say that not as an apologist, but one of my naive but well-intended hopes was that by bringing quality literature to large audiences, there might be a way of leading people back to read again. I confess that may not be the case, although Lonesome Dove was resurrected as a paperback novel. Terms of Endearment had a successful life. But my hope was that by doing these stories from the best of American writers, with the help of scholars, that maybe we would capture old audiences and new audiences. I was very lucky in that the grant went from doing 1, which is the way you usually operate in pilots, to doing 9, to doing 17, and then being given the gift of being able to do James Baldwin's Go Tell It on the Mountain, and having the pleasure of knowing wonderful, tormented, but very loving James well before he died, and even getting a chance to get Saul Bellow to do a walkthrough in one of my films, and having a chance to do 3 of Updike's pieces and 1 longer piece called Too Far to Go. If it represents the worst of producers who chase stars, I've been chasing writers because they've been my hero ever since I was a little boy. And I've loved films. Had the good fortune of, when I was in the Army, looking at lots of films because there wasn't a war to be fighting, and doing graduate work on how television can impact on education. The executive producer's role, which was I'm supposed to be talking about tonight, is really, I think only humor can make it sound plausible. The very first film I did, just about 5 years out of my Mamaroneck high school days, was a Civil War movie called Parker Addison, Philosopher. And I did it with a very gifted, luckily adventuresome actor who knew that this was only 1 step removed from home movies. We dealt with untrained theatrical horses, muskets, Civil War tents, a ragtag army that was supposed to represent the very end of the Civil War, and somehow we got by. But my actor, the very first day of the movie, asked if the horses were theatrically trained, and I don't think I lied. Producers don't lie. I said I would check it out. And 3 or 5 takes later, as he literally was hanging on for dear life, we got past that scene. The very last night was an execution scene. And the director of this movie, who was much more savvy than I was at this time, said, you know, we need a rather dissipated-looking, dissolute, post-40-year-old captain to play a Civil War captain. And there was nobody on that set other than the director, myself, who looked as dissolute and dissipated at 40. So I got to wear a Civil War suit, and that meant for 2 days I couldn't check the budget or worry about hijinks, and I ended up with 3 unforgettable lines or so, like ready, aim, fire. And on that given night, we literally had 5 minutes left before the sheriff was coming to close us down because the permit had expired, and my actor had been tied to a chimney with chains. And like any good actor, he said, will I get the last take? Because you have this hood over my face when I'm shot, and I'm only going to die with some degree of nobility if you remove the hood. So I went trundling off in my Civil War outfit with my scabbard and said to the director, he wants his hood removed. He said, no way that's going to happen. And he's chained. And in any decent movie, every time you have a series of explosives that go off, because when the ready, aim, fire was executed with tremendous precision, all these little condoms with Cairo syrup would explode, and with a battery pack behind him, which was a pretty good joke. And being a very professional actor, he said, well, can I go back to my wardrobe and change into shirt number 3, 4, or 5? We didn't have shirt 3, 4, or 5. And he said, I want to be unchained in between each take. It's uncomfortable. This is what executive producers do. I quickly ran back to the hotel and got a bottle of Canadian Club. And in between takes, as he was chained with this raggedy shirt on, bleeding Cairo syrup, we decided that we would make the last take memorable. And this is what executive producers do. Another thing that executive producers do, in addition to trying to get the money and pick the right property and get directors to match material, we did a film called Paul's Case, which was the first Willa Cather ever adapted, I believe, for television. And I had seen this wonderful young actor at a paper bag reading at the St. Clement's Church named Eric Roberts. And there was an energy about him. And Eric agreed that he would love to do this film. And we shot it up in Saratoga. And the last 10 minutes of the film was to be done in a heavy snowstorm. And if you know the story, Paul contemplates suicide, and then finally his very last act is to take some roses that he's purchased, put snow in his mouth, and jump over a precipice to an oncoming train. There were certain flexibilities. We had no snow, and we had no train. And very competent director said, you know, I've come a long way to do this movie, but are we going to get a snow machine? I said, I guarantee you it's going to snow. And prayers or what have you, Saratoga probably had the most incredible snowstorm it ever had for a good 8 hours. So bad was it that the cameraman couldn't keep his lens clean, and the director came up and said, hey, what are we going to do about having to snow stop? And I said, look, an executive producer has one responsibility. I'm to make it snow, and it snowed, and it snowed, and it snowed. And instead of a train, what we were able to do is to take some rubber tires and burn them. So you saw smoke coming in the distance, and certainly we had the sound of a train coming. And the perfect excuse was, in any Aristotelian logic, anything committed off stage in the way of crime or horror or dramatic payoff is much more effective, which is not the way movies work now anyway. So executive producers do that. The last thing I want to be talking about is why even bother adapting literature when the book or the short story or the play really rests on its own. And there's an old apocryphal joke about two goats on the MGM lot when they were shooting Gone with the Wind. And it was long before the time of environmental correctness. And there was an older goat whose job was to eat all of the outtakes, no matter what the film was. And a younger goat who was kind of new at it. Boy, just couldn't wait to do what young goats do. And as can after can was tossed out, the old goat would kind of circle around it, size it up, take a nibble, and like any grizzled producer, old goat, he managed not to do a whole lot. And the young goat ate and ate and ate until its belly was swollen, and finally they cleaned up the entire towering cans of film, and the young goat said, what did you think? And the old goat said, I like the book a lot better. Whether you like a particular novel, a favorite of your own, whether it's Larry McMurtry or whether it's Saul Bellow or whether it's William Faulkner, there is nothing that can equal the wonderful excitement and experience of reading. Reading a book 20 years later and seeing how you've grown and what changes you've encountered in your own life. But since what I've elected to do or been chosen to do is to try to bring the best literature I can to audiences that don't have to bring in 30 million at the box office, I continue to do these wonderful films, work with some of the finest actors, and serve as sort of the referee between what represents accommodation and compromise and what are the realities of producing a film so you get it done. I don't know how I am on time. Mike, you give me a, can we show things or, okay. We're going to look at 2 clips, and if we have time, maybe a third. The first clip is from one of my favorite stories by a writer perhaps not as well known to you named Ernest J. Gaines, who's a fine black writer who years ago had one of his novellas done as the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman with Cicely Tyson. And Ernest is one of the half-dozen living writers I had the pleasure of abusing and working with, and even invited him to set so he could see what we were doing. Ernest's story is about a young boy who goes to a southern town in Louisiana to have his tooth extracted. And it's clearly a segregated town. He's never been to this all-white town before. And he goes with one of the most stoical, Spartan, commanding mothers who protects him but also introduces him to some of the realities of life. The story, if we had time, I would read excerpts, is written through his point of view, what a 9-year-old innocent boy would be seeing, and what that experience might mean for the rest of his life. Our responsibility was to try to get a scriptwriter, and I really lucked out. I got Charles Fuller, who's a wonderful black playwright who's done Soldier Story. And Charles and Ernest worked very closely. There was no music in the story, and music certainly is a large part of what television and theatrical is all about. And I'd like you to look at what 3 minutes of that was all about. And then the Paul's case that I've already shared with you, how we were able to, with a very sophisticated soundtrack, come up with something which is quite Bergman-esque, and See If You Missed the Train. And the Cathy story ends with the principal character, Paul, introspectively thinking about maybe he made a mistake as he jumps before this train, if he had to do it all over again. Clearly that was not what we wanted to do. We didn't want to throw a dummy onto an oncoming train with a voiceover. So we elected to do what I think was the correlative of how you take visuals, how you take the dynamic of film, and yet at the same time try desperately to preserve the sensibility and hopefully the intent of the writer. I don't think we'll have time to look at Soldier's Home. That's one that I adapted, and that might make for a lengthier conversation. So let's look at Sky is Gray. There'll be about a 10-second pause between Sky is Gray and Paul's case. So when you go to black, it doesn't mean that it's time for applause yet.
I ain't hungry, Mama. Got to pay him something for the heat. Have a couple of those cakes. The coffee and the milk, please. I can't eat all this, Mama.
Watch this.
Oh, yeah, okay, we'll see.
Keep your eyes on your plate.
Next time I'll know there won't be no mistake.
Dance pretty.
The feeling when it aches inside my heart. I won't be such a fool the way I was with you. Next time I'll know this is love. Next time I'll know a kiss that lasts forever, a touch that lingers on when we're apart. The feeling doesn't pass, it only really lasts if this is really love. I walk around.
Stop him.
James, stay there. Come on. I'll gut you from your navel to your throat. Come on.
You some pimp, yes sir. You a pimp, all right, yes sirree. You don't have to leave, honey.
Cab to Penn Station.
Flowers, sir. Flowers.
Your work! Your work!
You can stop right here. I'll walk the rest of the way.
It's going to snow again.
It's all right. It's beautiful.
In the interest of time, thank you. Thank you. In the interest of time, I really don't want to take away from the celebration of the night. Another thing that pleases an executive producer is if material has an afterlife, and thank God for the half-inch cassette. There are also paperbacks that Dell puts out, which have now, I think, had 650,000 copies sold. It doesn't go back to this producer, but they list all of the stories and most of the excerpts of scripts, and they serve quite well for any kind of teaching experience and interviews with some of the directors as well. I'm delighted that all of the short stories have, in addition to having appeared on PBS, have also appeared on Bravo, Showtime, the Learning Channel. Every time there's a new cable system, I begin to count my annuities. They also exist in home video, I think, in most of the Blockbuster or what have you. So they go on, and part of the reason they go on is they represent the best of American writers and the best of American actors, and done with, I think, passion and commitment and no desire to make a box office smash. So enjoy your night. I'm delighted to share part of it, and thank you for having me.
I got to keep him here for 1 second. There may be some people who may want to ask you a question, and we have some ushers who have mics so that they can do that if you would.
Anyone know the score?
Anybody want to ask Bob a question? Somebody going to come over to you with a mic? Is that what you're waiting for?
I don't think I've ever needed a mic, actually.
Good, Russ.
No,
okay.
Russell. We're old friends, so.
Are we loud enough on the mic? What I'd like to ask is, You've only scratched the surface of some of the things that you've done in your short biography tonight. With your love of fiction, and of course you're having written so many screenplays and teleplays, have you an interest in writing in the prose form? Is there, for instance, a novel that you'd like to take a year off and finish up? And if there is, are you smart enough to have already bought the options on your own work for motion pictures?
It doesn't require smartness, it requires capital, Russell. I've always thought that Saul Bellows' Augie March would make a wonderful movie. It's been optioned, as is Henderson the Rain King. I've just optioned for a very small amount of money a novel called After the First Death by Robert Cormier, who wrote The Chocolate War. And I'm now teaching screenwriting, or attempting to serve as a catalyst. You don't teach screenwriting at Columbia, and in addition to that, I think that'll be my task. And then a good friend of mine, Fielder Cook, who directed both Seize the Day and Too Far to Go, we've optioned and done a first draft screenplay of collection of stories by a wonderful new writer called Sweet Talk. So those are immediate and real. If you were to ask, are there wonderful novels if I had a full pocketbook and a 20-year head start on the rest of the world, I think it would be Augie March or Henderson the Rain King.
No, also, are you interested in writing in the prose form yourself?
You mean original screenplays?
Yeah, no, an original novel or short stories. Do you enjoy that kind of writing also?
If they closed down Harbor Island and took away my racket, and I didn't have 9 hobbies, the answer is that way back when I thought this would be the way I wanted to spend my life, being a quote-unquote real writer. And having realized that there's a major talent, that adapting is difficult, but it's not like doing original prose work, I've pulled back because I find that there are other priorities that resonate much more for me in life. It takes a lot of hard work. Any other questions?
Anybody else have anything to ask Bob? Well, you can talk to him again in the reception if you want to. Thank you so much.
Sure, my pleasure.
Some of you... Some of you may have mistakenly thought you've come to a roast tonight. But Lois Tice has assured us by June 6th, when they have the 20th anniversary, that the air conditioning will be working in the inlet. So bear with us. There has been a man called a while back, and you know, it's pretty warm in here, and we appreciate it, but it's a terrific show, so we'll bear with it. Joe, are you going to come out here now and... You weren't gonna. Come on.
I thought since you were here, you could do it for me. For the awards part of our show tonight, I would like to introduce the new Studio 2 production coordinator, Brian Wilson. Come on up, Brian.
Thanks, Joe. It's sunny. What a hard act to follow. Fortunately, I'm not good at extemporaneous speaking, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess as you could pick up by what Joe said, I am the rookie on the LMC-TV team. I was very pleased when Joe asked if I would host this part of the program and share with you first some of the reasons why I'm happy to have joined the LMC-TV staff. Of course, he was assuming that I was happy about it. It was a safe assumption, because I am very pleased to have joined the LMC-TV staff. I began my professional career in television 12 years ago, and I've held a variety of positions, most of them with daytime television. The last was with a show that was called Capital, and when it was canceled, I seriously, I found myself unemployed, and I started to seriously question why I was in this business at all. While I lay in a hospital bed recuperating from an appendectomy, I began to consider what my options were, and I decided that I would not go back into television until I could do it on my own terms, which was producing programming that I believed in. I was reminded of a conversation that I had with my mother the night before I graduated from college. As a total surprise, I announced to my parents that I had just been invited to Columbia University to join their master's program in film, and that I was going to move to New York. And she wanted to know why I was going to give up a job in marketing with the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, which was a sure thing, to pursue some sort of a half-baked scheme in a city she didn't appreciate. And I answered that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to work in television, and I wanted to work in it making a positive impact on people's lives. Well, I got a little sidetracked with that. And for a while, I tried kidding myself into believing that daytime TV offered an emotional release for those that might not otherwise have one. But it never rang true to me. So I am very proud to be on the staff here at LMC-TV, because this is television that makes a difference. This is television that has direct impact on the day-to-day life of this community. This is television where a woman has courage enough to share what has to be one of the most painful experiences of her life so that she can help other people. This is television that empowers individuals and groups. The issues that are dealt with in our programming and in our meeting coverage can change our lives as soon as the very next day. I'm proud to be working with a professional staff and an executive director whose primary goal is to find the voice of this community. The best part of this package deal is that the programs are produced by members of our own community, people that we live and breathe with. And the best part of that is that I get to help them. So I have finally made good on a promise that I made to my mother some 13 years ago, and I thank you and LMC-TV for making that possible. I'm very proud to be a member of this organization. And before we begin now the awards presentation, I do have a surprise for all of you that I would like to share. Excuse me one moment. That is if I can get them out. Greetings via tape from the sunny skies of Southern California, Rich Capagrosso, the former Studio 2 coordinator.
Hello to all of you who remember me, and to those of you who don't remember me, I'm Rich Capagrosso, and last year at this time I was the production coordinator for Studio 2, and I was probably standing right above where you're seeing me right now. I'm out here in lovely Burbank, California right now. It's one of the not so lovely days, one of the days where we actually have a little bit of cloud cover, enduring fires, floods, earthquakes, and most recently riots, if you've seen any of the news reports. But all is well now, and the peace has been restored, and I'd just like to send out a few congratulations to some of the winners of the LMC-TV 3rd Annual Award Show. First off, congratulations to Joyce for her award, Best Program Award for Adjuvant Chemotherapy. Second, I'd like to have a very special congratulations to Susan Spencer-Marola of the Larchmont Historical Society for their Best Program series, I Know a Village. A series that caused a lot of fun and a lot of mayhem for me within the walls of Studio 2. To the Outstanding Volunteer of the Year, someone who I've had the pleasure of working with and who really deserves the award, Pat McLizzy. Congratulations, Pat. And finally, for the Community Communications Award, the French Welcome Service. Bonjour, mesdames. Félicitations. Thanks very much to Joe Windish and the LMC-TV staff for allowing me to sneak this in right under the wire. So once again, thank you very much. Congratulations to all the winners, and good luck. Stay tuned. Goodbye.
And now to present our first award for Best Single Program, Town of Mamaroneck Council Member Elaine Price.
Difficult subject, Eileen, and so well done. Your program, Adjuvant Chemotherapy, is a probing, candid, and well-conceptualized look at an issue that will touch all of our lives in one way or another, as it has yours. Thank you from all of us for infusing that program with such sensitivity and courage, and for making it so compelling. Your experiences will be forever captured in this artful program, and it will serve as a message for courage, reassurance, and hope to all of those in pain. And I don't think it ever gets any better than that. So I am delighted to be able to present you with this award for Best Program tonight. Before I let Eileen speak, there is an admirer out there who wanted to make sure that you had flowers as you received this award.
My husband or another man?
It's a secret. It's a secret admirer, and it's not a man.
Oh, it's a woman. Thank you, secret admirer. See me later. I really don't want to be humorous about this. Back in November of 1990, I went for just a regular mammogram checkup, and well, for no reason other than just because to have one. And while I was in the radiologist's office, she said to me, "I think you have cancer," right then and there on the spot. And I said, "Oh, okay." And I walked out of the office, and I got into my car, and I was driving, and I stopped at a light, and I said, I thought of a couple of things. First, I said, how am I going to tell my husband and my kids, you know? And all kinds of things go through your head. I hope nobody had to do that. And the next thing I thought about, and this is the truth, oh, wait, I'll tape it for LMC-TV. I mean, I'm like hysterical crying, and I really thought about it. And so over the months, the sort of things happened. It turned out I did have breast cancer, as you all know. And I went for chemotherapy, and with Dr. Mark Berensweig, who's sitting in the audience, and I really would like him to stand up. Could you stand up for a minute, please? Because I started to think sometime in around January, gee, I really would like to tape this, because I didn't know anything about adjuvant chemotherapy. I had no idea what it was going to be like. And if you had the kind of breast cancer that I had, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't fun. I didn't love doing it, but it wasn't as debilitating as I thought it was. And a good friend of mine at the time, Hank Sarasoli, I was talking to him a lot about it, and he kept saying, do it, do it, do it, come on, we'll do it, we'll do it, we'll do it. And I'll come in and we'll tape it and we'll do it and do it. And I said, nah, and he said, yeah, do it, do it, do it. And we talked a lot about it, and Dr. Berensweig, Mark, said, yes, do it. I think it's a great idea. And he did, and everybody in his office was wonderful, and he, you know, opened the door and we did it. And it was an experience that I don't ever want to forget. And then later on, Dr. Berensweig and I did a live call-in show also, and that Greg and Debbie and Sandy and Sally and Pat and Nancy edited the first piece for me, and Missy, and everybody helped, and it was great. And what's great about it is people stop me on the street and they say, listen, thanks, I really appreciate it. You know, you made me go for a mammogram and I'm okay. And men stop me in the street and say, thanks, you know, you got my wife to go for a mammogram and she's okay. And it was just a great, you know, it's like, it was a great thing. I didn't want it to happen, but, you know, sometimes in danger or aversion, something really terrific happens. And then in the back, in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and about the 5th or 6th row were sitting some very good friends of mine, all of them who were there for me the whole time. And, you know, yes, you were too, honey. I promise I'd say his name again. But, I mean, you know, it's just like, I can't thank you enough, guys. I really love you all, and I'm really glad you came tonight. And I'm just really happy that I could be here to pick up the award. Thank you all very much. I have to say one more thing. I forgot. I made some notes. without LMC-TV, I couldn't have done it. And that's the point of LMC-TV and public access, Something happens to you, and you have a desire to put it on, if you're a ham like me, and you can put it on television, you could do it. The world could find out things, and it's a great place to be. And if you have ideas, call them up, and they'll help you, and it's spectacular. So thank you, LMC-TV.
My name is Eileen Deutsch, and for my 42nd birthday, I found out I had breast cancer. I was lucky, the tumor wasn't large, and then they checked to see if I had cancer in my lymph nodes, and that was negative. But what they do now is they do a follow-up type of chemotherapy called adjuvant chemotherapy, and that scared the hell out of me. I was petrified. I didn't know what to expect. I felt very alone. And so I've produced a tape to show you what it is like to get chemotherapy if you're in my situation where you might have a small tumor. And this is 74 watts I'm getting. 74 milligrams. 74 milligrams, and it's going. And I am now administering it to her. Should I move this down? And you see the medication itself takes just a few minutes to give.
There's a kind of psychology about disease, identification with the disease. You become the disease. I have breast cancer, I am breast cancer, therefore I am cancer, I am bad. If people can separate, this is something that happened to me, this is not what I am.
Right.
And then say, I am still me here, this is something that is happening to me. Now let me deal with it.
Right.
That's and that's the attitude that you had, Eileen, right from the start, and it really helped you a lot.
I don't know that you can prevent breast cancer, but if you get it, you don't be embarrassed by it. Don't put your head in the sand. Take care of it. It's curable, and here I am sitting 8 months later, and I'm fine, and everything's wonderful, and I'm back to my old idiotic self, and thank God for that.
To present the award for Best Series, the Mayor of the Village of Larchmont, Cheryl Louie.
I'd like to congratulate Eileen and all the other winners tonight. I think it's a real tribute to LMC-TV that it can produce shows that are such a mosaic, from Eileen's to the show that I'm about to give an award to. I'd also like to congratulate Joe and Brian and Mike and all the volunteers that make LMC-TV the special place that it is, and the other volunteers that are behind the scenes, the cable boards and the negotiating boards, and all the supportive people that work with them. It's an enormous boon to us as a village, to the entire Larchmont-Mamaroneck community, to know that we can get information out to the residents in a way that a local paper might not reach everybody, but LMC-TV seems to. And it's a wonderful way to educate, to amuse, to share our community together. And most recently, I know that we all were thrilled that they were able and willing to cover the Larchmont Centennial the way they did, and really bring it into our homes and record it for posterity. It was a fabulous celebration, one that we all enjoyed so much, and now we can look back, as Sunny said, and enjoy it on a dark day or in other times. And so we appreciate that. But it's my delight tonight to give an award to the Larchmont Historical Society. It represents the Larchmont-Mamaroneck community. It's a very special organization. You can see that they not only look backwards into the past, but they're right here, current and with the 90s and into the year 2000, using television to its very, very finest way to bring to the community in a way that they can understand what history is all about, both past and present, and had the stamina and the strength to put together a 13-part series which would bring what Larchmont was like in all these times to you, what growing up in Larchmont was like, a group presentation of 4 mayors and what it was like to govern, what the religious institutions in our community are like, which are a very special part of our lives. The police department, the fire department, Manor Park, which is so special, and many other segments, which I hope you'll all get a chance to see. And I'd like to thank and bring up the people who were so instrumental in bringing it to be. Susan Marola, who conceived of the idea and helped to produce it, Mary O'Connell, who moderated it so well, and Eleanor Lucas, who spent countless hours co-producing it, scheduling it, and making all the parts work, and the LMC-TV staff that had the patience to work with them and make it all happen. So I'm delighted to applaud you.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm Susan Marola. I'm the former president of the Larchmont Historical Society. I just have a few prepared comments. Thank you very much for this award. I know a village facing toward water less sullen than the seas, where flickers get their bed and board and all the streets are named for trees. I'm quoting from Larchmont's own Pulitzer Prize-winning poet, Phyllis McGinley, who in her light and airy verse perfectly captured the essence of Larchmont life. The Larchmont Historical Society, in creating the television series I Know a Village, aspired to provide to current and future viewers information and insight about this same Larchmont experience. More than 2 years ago, we began to plan for the village's centennial. It was determined then that the focus of the Society's contribution would be a project in, of course, historic preservation, but this time with a twist. We felt we had a real opportunity to bring the recent past to life by doing a series of oral histories from those people whose unique perspectives on Larchmont could be our visible link with the past. And what better way to reach our community than through this, Larchmont and Mamaronec's own television station. Our objectives were twofold: to celebrate Larchmont's centennial through a series of entertaining broadcasts, and to provide primary research material to future generations. Some early conversations with Joe Windish helped me to formulate some ideas for a series of focused programs, each dealing with specific aspects of Larchmont life. Eleanor Lucas, librarian and former president of the Historical Society, joined me as co-producer, and Mary O'Connell, professional oral historian, graciously assumed the role of host. They worked together to craft and shape each program, balancing content and guests. I wonder if you knew then what you were getting into after all those hours. Countless hours of planning and coordination, research and rehearsal culminated in over 30 guests appearing in such diverse programs as Growing Up, Governance, and 5 programs alone on our religious institutions. Now, more than a year after our first show, Origins, we can look back with pride on a series of programs which touch on so many aspects of Larchmont life. But it was LMC-TV that made it all possible. The dedication and helpfulness of the staff is incalculable. Rich Capagrosso, thank you very much, wherever you are, was patient and a helpful teacher to me. And Mike Cocci and the rest of the staff were always professional and unfailingly cheerful, even when I was flustered. I would also like to thank all of the volunteer crew members who were pressed into service, particularly Frank DeVincent, who was on camera every time, and Nancy St. Lifer, who directed a few episodes, once during a thunderstorm when we had all sorts of technical problems. On behalf of the Larchmont Historical Society, thank you, LMC-TV, for our happy association. You are a priceless community resource, and we hope that this is the beginning of a long and fruitful partnership. Thank you.
A word of praise. High praise goes to Susan Marola. This was her idea, and it has contributed to a permanent archive to celebrate the centennial of a remarkable village. We named the series after our gifted poet, Phyllis McGinley, who was a good friend of mine. I hope she's enjoyed it all through the year that we taped all these, because at times we almost had a human pyramid of guests 33 of whom Eleanor scheduled, got there on time, soothed, cajoled, and we pulled it all off. But high praise goes to both of my cohorts right here. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say that I had a lot of fun.
Now for a special message from last year's Volunteer of the Year, Nancy E. St. Leifer.
I would just like to extend my personal congratulations to this year's distinguished recipient. Pat has demonstrated all the qualities that are befitting an LMC-TV Volunteer of the Year. He has shown grace under pressure.
What was that noise? Well, what do you mean there's no room service here? How could there not be room? This is a hotel, isn't it?
And God only knows what we're going to come up with.
Hello, can we stop?
How much time are we going to do? What are we watching?
Tons of time, hours. We're going to be here all night.
Excuse me, I'm going to smack you now.
I was in no way responsible for any of this. I'm going to read this. The opinions expressed in this program represent those of the lunatics in the control room. And no, I don't think I can get away with that.
I don't think so either.
I'm losing my mind.
An ability to express himself eloquently.
Videotaping a band called, what is it called again?
Reunion.
Reunion, okay. And just testing you. If you come to the Roosevelt Hotel, you can get, yeah, I can speak. Let's do that again. I went to Roosevelt. Over the past few shows, we've been telling you about some changes going on in NBC's lineup. On our last show, we featured a piece of the last Golden Girls episode. Cosby Show also called it quits this year. And In the Heat of the Night with, what's his name, Archie Bunker. Never mind. Sorry. Last week we told you about the end of Night Court, which aired its final episode last week. The series was I'm trying to ad-lib here, and I'm not doing a very good job. Since that deadline is already passed, excuse me, feel much better now. Oh, we're back at the Beverly Hillcrest Hotel, where we're having a plethora of festivities. You can't say that either. I don't think so.
And above all, class and poise.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
My other main man, George Flood. Whoa, come on, baby.
What are we going to do towards the end? We're going to make fun of the crew.
My reign as Volunteer of the Year has been filled with endless autograph seekers, appearances, and speaking engagements. Not. But I take special pride in knowing that I was your first contact here at LMC-TV. Congratulations, Pat. You're definitely a star.
It's too bad you don't have this for the awards, boy, because this would be good.
Here to present the award for the Outstanding Volunteer of the Year, the Mayor of the Village of Mamaroneck, Paul Noto.
That's a brutal act to follow. And I'm not sure why he picked me, since I do have some funny moments on LMC-TV myself. But I thought maybe if we touched on some of the things that make LMC so special. People think I'm kidding, as you saw from the promo, when I tell them that before I was mayor I had black hair. As you can see, I did. In 1986, Mike Witch started a show called Open Line, and I was his very first guest. That was the last time I appeared on a show with Mike Witch. And I hope that's not a reflection on my performance, Mike, but it's a great show, and Mike has done a wonderful thing for LMC-TV. I don't want it to sound like an orgy of self-adulation, but this is really a wonderful, wonderful resource. From the perspective of the government, I think that LMC-TV has dramatically affected how governments function here in the local community. You have village and town board meetings live now on television. People comment all the time on things that go on at board meetings. I get calls all the time. They stop you on the street. They say, gee, you know, you said this at the meeting, you voted on that. And it's really interesting to find how curious people really are about their government, about what goes on in community life, and how important it is to them to be able to watch it on local TV. Now that it's live, I think it adds a much greater dimension for all of us. And unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, I thought we might see a little more grandstanding from some of the officials, but it really hasn't happened. And I think everyone has really taken to local TV and local government coming alive. And when I do my show, I come into the studio, and of course it is staffed by outstanding volunteers. And I think Pat, who as you can see is a unique individual, he in many ways represents a lot of outstanding volunteers. When Congresswoman Lowy touched on it early on about how important it is, if it weren't for the volunteers, we wouldn't have LMC-TV. And the bottom line is the people that come in and day out are working so hard, they're giving enormous amounts of time and effort to this. It is truly a community resource. And the fact that they are volunteers makes it all the more special. And Pat, when I walked in, I was talking to somebody at the door, and they were telling me how wonderful he is. And I said, well, you know, tell me a little bit, you know, what do you think is really special about him? Well, and she said, he does it all. He directs, he produces, he's there when you need him, he does the camera, he answers the phone. He will do whatever you need him to do, because he is one of those unique individuals that really believes in community television, the kind of philosophy that Brian discussed earlier. So Pat, as you know, has done a great deal for LMC-TV. You've seen it, so I don't have to tell you about it. But it is a great, great privilege for me to be able to honor an outstanding volunteer who will reign for the next year as Nancy steps aside, reluctantly, I'm sure. And I'm very privileged and proud to present the Volunteer of the Year Award to Pat Michelizzi.
Until about 7:30 tonight, I was sitting at home trying to get into my suit. It was so tight. And I kept doing sit-ups. I'm like, come on, you could do it. Sit-ups, tight suit, sit-ups. Then I started to think, tight suit, dessert reception. Needless to say, that's where the exercising ended. But I have a few people I want to thank, especially my family and friends. A few summers back, I was out of work, wasn't feeling too good about myself, and after day in and day out hanging out with my friends, they really basically told me, find yourself a hobby. All right? And that's what I did, and I couldn't have done it with a better bunch of people. And I have a few people especially that I want to thank. The people who put together what you've seen, my show, which is a fiasco to put together, but we managed to get one done every 2 weeks, God knows how. My co-host, Scott Croce, who's on crew tonight, Tracy Barth, who's in the audience, and John Landis, and of course Sandy, Sally, Eileen, Lisa, Debbie, and Nancy, and everyone who has ever worked on my show. And lastly, I also want to thank my mother and brother who couldn't be here, and all my friends at the TH who are watching live. Thanks a lot for everything you've done, and especially thanks to LMC staff, board of directors, and finally, congratulations to Eileen. Eileen, it's a terrific thing what you did, and if your message came across to one person and changed the life of one person, then you've really done an incredible job. Thank you.
Our last award this evening is the Community Communications Award, given for community outreach. Here to present the award is George LeClaire, United Nations Director of Information.
I told you I'll be back. I'm here tonight. Well, my first award is not so much what we're gonna do tonight. It's for LMC-TV. Do you know many local stations who have a foreign programming? In the whole US? Not so many. Do you know many who run the news every day? Not so many. Do you know only crew in the world. When the satellite is wrong, they cannot pick up the antenne de news. It's right now. I'm sorry, I'm going to apologize for the French viewers who don't have the antenne de news tonight. But when the satellite is wrong, they pick up the other channel news, TF1, without telling them. And every single night we have a news from France. That's really communication, right? So that's my first award. My second award, the best one for tonight, of course, is the French Welcome Service. All those awards here, it's a lot. I have to remember all the names, to remember everything they did. They do a program every week. My goodness, I didn't bring any notes because last year I could read without my glasses. This year I cannot. So I didn't write anything. I'm just going to list everybody, and I'm going to call first Stéphanie Malayud, who is the driving force. And I wish she comes here. And Stéphanie, I would like to associate to this award somebody who's not here, who started last year this wonderful experience to have the French news every night. It's Laura Grechalmer. She moved to London. And I'm sure, Stéphanie, you will be here with me to remember Laura. I called her and she couldn't come.
I don't understand.
Well, okay, please come here. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, okay, Stéphanie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to thank LMC-TV for giving us the opportunity to producing our own programming and for receiving the news every day. Thank you very much.
Okay, Stéphanie, stay here. We're going to call everybody. Maryse Perrault, are you here, Maryse?
But her husband is here.
Well, that's okay. We'll choose. Can we choose between the husband and the... No? May I remind you that French Welcome Service, you may not know exactly. When you're French and you just arrive in Larchmont-Mamaroneck, you're sometimes in trouble. Well, where do you go? The French Welcome Service. Maryse, congratulations.
Thank you. It's a great privilege to be on the stage tonight. I would like to thank LMC-TV. It's for us really a very great privilege because I don't think in our country we could do the same. So for us, it's really wonderful. So I think that's about it. I think I have so many friends who belong to the same team. We are about, I don't remember, 7 or 8 or maybe more. How many are we? About 8 on 8. 8, so I think they are all going to come tonight.
Yeah.
No?
Maybe not all, but we'll do the best, Maryse.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Laurence Magro. Laurence is the responsible of the French Welcome Service. Congratulations, Laurence.
As the director of the team, I have a few words. We're really deeply honored to have been granted this award. Our team, as you can see it tonight, is celebrating this month our first year of operation, and we're obviously delighted with this early sign of recognition. As you may know, the New York metropolitan area is the largest area with a French-speaking community. It has about 25% of the whole of the United States, and a large portion of which live in this area. And we have been very lucky that our local channel, LMC-TV, is a dynamic and broad-minded institution that has welcomed and encouraged us in our efforts to address the French-speaking needs of this community. We have also been lucky that our region is a fertile ground for programs of bicultural interest. We have therefore been able to produce programs on subjects as diverse as local artists and artisans, children's activities, cooking, tourism, and diplomatic events. We have many plans for a variety of new programs in the coming year, and we look forward to another successful effort with LMC-TV. We want to give our very special thanks to the whole team at LMC, who's been helping us over the last year, and has provided us with technical and psychological assistance. I'm personally very grateful to Joe Windish for his continued understanding and support, and to Mike Cocci for his unending patience in dealing with the numerous expected and unexpected problems we've had in broadcasting the French news. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Laurence. And you know that they're all learning French now. You're so rich from California. Mike is the next one. Anne-Marie Hubert. I'm going to call everybody now because you're all eager to go taste the goodies and the good cakes that you cooked yourself to bring here. Alix. Alexandra Leclerc. Anne Smil. Thank you. Annick Biquer is in France. She took early vacation, right? I'll take the award for her. I'll give her later. And, oh my goodness. Oh, Daniel Lejoindre. I'm sorry, Daniel. And Véronique, congratulations. Véronique de Manibus. You have almost the whole team here, so thank you LMC-TV for allowing the French community through all those beautiful ladies. I'm French, you know, I'm still a little bit like that. I'm not involved in Clarence Thomas things, so don't forget about all that. And thank you very much again for allowing us to have a French program every week on LMC-TV.
Well, since there are no more awards, I guess my part here is finished. So please welcome back Board President of LMC-TV and the LMC-TV Executive Director, Sonny Goldberg and Joe Windish.
Well, it's time for thank yous from us now. Hearing everyone say all those things made me feel very, very proud to be here and to be a part of this organization. I love this community and I love working here and I love being a part of all the things that have happened over the years. And to see you all come up here like this makes me feel very good. I want to thank, though, particular people. I want to thank Hank Sarasoli, who, when we did the parade in Larchmont and needed a float, and I wanted a big camcorder, he constructed it in his driveway, in his carport. And Mike Cocci and I painted it for a week. And then when I decided on the stage we would like to have a video wall, he constructed that as well. And Brian Wilson... Other people to thank, Brian Wilson, of course, who was here until 3 o'clock. Marge, his wife, thank you. He was here until 3 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, and he actually put the whole thing together and put this whole thing together. Mike Cocci, whoops. And that speech. Mike Cocci, director tonight, who you saw in the tape. He was here the first year I came. He came into my office and... he looked like a baby. and he's been with us ever since, and he's doing so well, and I appreciate his being with us and all the effort he puts into it. Our technician, Ruel Thorney, who makes it possible that all the monitors work and who wires everything up for us and has been with us from the beginning and also puts everything together. Volunteers, all of you, all of the, I can't, if I name one, I have to name them all, and Sonny's pushing me along. Yes. But the volunteers and the community groups and all of the involvement of all of you people, every one of you are very important to LMC-TV and make it work. Norman Klein and the Evelyn staff for all the help they are welcoming us into their home. Hugh Hitchens in particular, who did all the lighting for us tonight and who has patiently stayed with us through the nights. Joan Grott, the director of the library here, for welcoming us into her home. Mike Witch from Mamaroneck High School, welcoming us into his home. And the board of directors, I can't stop without thanking the board of directors for bearing with me and supporting me in all of the things that we do. Sonny?
And I'm going to introduce my board of directors because without them it would be impossible, and they volunteer too. A lot of time. I'd like to first say that Fred Cohen, Vice President, is unable to be with us tonight. He's in sunny California with Rich, but Eileen is here representing him. And the next person I'd like you to know is Julie DiRamondo, our treasurer, very important person. She took on a job that was enormous, and we thank her very much. Hank Sarasola, you already know, you must all know Hank. Hank is extremely special, and we love him. I forgot to send him flowers for Secretary Week, and he really got angry at me, so I have to be very nice to Hank, our secretary, who is terribly special to us. Rita Blockton, my dear friend, who has come on board, taken over the news, done wonderful things, and has stuck by me, and I thank her enormously. Rita. Mira Heimstra, who is sitting right by Hank. We welcome you, and you've just been so helpful. She did our campaign for membership, and she has encouraged all kinds of different people to join in the volunteer situation, and we thank her very much for getting us the membership. I think we grew by an enormous amount this time, so thank you, Mira. Frank Light, where is Frank? You saw Frank on the tape.
Frank's up there.
Without Frank, I don't know what I would do. He's the best, and he's sitting someplace back there. We fax to each other all the time, right, Frank? Right. I thank him. And Susan Spencer-Marola, who's new, you saw her win an award. It's terrific having you on board. And last but not least, I left Alexandra Leclerc for the last because she is amazing. She took over as special projects, and she took 100 pounds off my back. My hat's off to you. Thank you for everything. It's beautiful. You all will join us later for reception, I promise you. And everything is because of Alexandra, so thank you. Out there also are members of the Board of Control, our administrator, Joe Fraioli. He always does that quick stand. Where are you, Joe? Hello. Thank you, and I know that Ken and Kate Bialo are here because I saw Ken right there. I don't have my glasses on, but I've got him spotted back there. If you have problems, you talk to the Board of Control. Ken Bialo, Walter Rogers, and Paul Ryan, right over there in that corner. They're wonderfully supportive to LMC-TV. They handle all of our major problems, and we thank them for all of their time. Ira Birnbaum, who may have been here for a little bit, and I saw him in the tavern today, and he said he was coming, so he may have ducked in and out because it's a little bit later, as in television these things do happen. I want to thank Ira for always trying to cooperate with us, and also I would just like you to note that this journal is all about people in our community, people who gave us ads, who help us, keep going. And if you can, and you stop in and you just say, hey, thanks for the ad you put in the LMC-TV Journal, or if you're thinking about using somebody and you can't think who, keep this with you, because these people have been wonderful to us. We are very fortunate in Mamaroneck and Larchmont to have merchants who really support us. Lots of them come and work in the television station, so it's terrific. I'd like to also mention, Lois, the air conditioning came on. I know you're out there. I saw you. There she is. I want to thank Lois for her always doing invitations for us and her constant support. Lois and Emily, sharing with the Emlyn is a treat. They have a great big 20th birthday coming on June 6th, Saturday night, where Robert Klein, the comedian, is coming in, and you've just got to support it, because the Emlyn is part and parcel of what we're all about here in Mamaroneck and Larchmont. And Rick Capogrosso is not the only person who came from California. My sister Peggy, thank you for coming all the way from sunny LA. Anyway, if I've forgotten anybody, forgive me. Because
we also have in our audience tonight County Legislator George Latimer, if you would stand up and say hello.
George, thank you.
Thank you
very much. We appreciate your coming. We appreciate Nita's and everybody's support. This is not a political situation. This is a community gathering, and we find it just amazing that everybody who comes really has been just so supportive. I mean, everybody comes into the studio is so supportive, and we thank you all.
And so we would like you to join us afterwards at the wine and dessert reception, but we're going to leave you with one more tape, and that is this past year.
And we'll see you at Jukebox Friday night on May 29th.
May 29th.
All right. Thank you.
What else did we hear at that meeting last time? We heard that they had no idea how many units they're going to develop at that point. They may now. I haven't heard of the public meeting, but we hear it. We know that they don't know how much it was going to cost them. They don't know any of these things. As a matter of fact, they didn't even know how much they were going to rent the apartments for. Well, I guess that's convenient for the moment, but we still don't know what you're going to spend to build that thing.
Mr. Donohoe, you're at it again. The same way that you distorted the numbers which were in the mailing piece, which you mailed out to so many people in the community with the numbers that were all wrong, you are now distorting the numbers again.
Being vigilant to keep the public trust intact. We have just re-elected a village justice who represents, on a private matter,
Be gracious, this is the chairman. This is a meeting. You had an election, okay? It's over.
I came home after working as an election inspector and watched put on television, our local television, for the results. And I was ashamed to be a resident of Mamaroneck. It has happened 4 times before, maybe even 5, that people living in Mamaroneck, being proud, having been raised here, have lost complete control and regard for their fellow citizens. This spectacle that went on with the silent majority sitting on top and not doing a thing about it is a shame that is very hard for me to live down.
Acts of hate because of one's skin color, because of one's ethnic background, because of one's religion. The blight of homelessness, poverty, and hunger continues as well. The message is clear. Through our individual and collective efforts, the dream must be revitalized.
The FCC is more interested in stopping dirty words than they are in creating structure for change that will increase choice and diversity. And in a democracy, that's what's important. We treat children as really the most unvalued audience in broadcasting, and our priorities should be just the other way around.
The mayor of the village of Mamaroneck injured in a fire.
The village of Larchmont will have a smaller tax increase, but some people think it should be even less.
Mamaroneck has come up with a way to reduce taxes.
And the town of Mamaroneck is working on a new recycling program. Listen up, we'll all have to get into it by September 1st.
Many people in Planned Parenthood tell the young that sex is fun, enjoy it, but just protect yourself. Have safe sex with condoms and birth control pills and all the rest of it, and it doesn't work. It's against the law of God, and it attacks the dignity and humanity of these young women.
We voted for the entire bill, and the president is now going to veto funds for education, health care, all these critical things that we need in our community because he's so determined to overturn Roe v. Wade and to deny poor people the right to family planning funds.
We pride ourselves on being one of the most advanced and compassionate countries in the world. Yet among industrialized countries, only the United States and South Africa don't have a national health plan.
So in other words, now every time there's a rate increase, they'll not only increase the basic by $1, but then all the subsequent services by $1?
Well, that's basically known as tiering. And we objected strenuously to the increases that were, to the tiering that went into effect in early 1991.
Oh, the windmill was a landmark, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was a sewage treatment plant originally, and they had the village dump there.
Well, how did they combine the windmill and sewage
Well,
treatment?
it camouflaged the smokestack.
Aha.
This document is dated White Plains, October the 19th, 1776, 215 years ago to the day. It reads, received from the Continental Store at Mamaroneck from Matthew Marvin, 1 cask of rum.
Looking at the British and the American formal soldiers, one would wonder, why did they dress like that? Loud colors, bright buttons, lace. You look like they were deliberately trying to create targets.
How long was that first attack?
It varied, 15, 20 minutes or so.
That's all?
Well,
How long did it seem to you?
it seemed like eternity.
Some of us can remember the 1938 Manor Park felt the effect of a horrendous hurricane. After the hurricane, parts of docks, boats, floats, and beach houses littered Manor Park.
Cannot sleep. They're off.
Spaceman F-Hero, your La Hacienda parties don't go over so well with the more conservative elements of Larchmont.
What a day. I mean, if they ordered this, they couldn't have had a nicer day. It's really fall. And we're sitting here with all these people milling around. There is nothing that you can't buy here. It's just a very nice time to come on down to the Yimlin and see what this area is all about.
And the Fuji blimp makes an appearance at the Larchmont Block Party. Joe Windish is in the blimp right now. He'll have some stunning aerial shots for us later.
You're green and he's red? Who's winning?
Nobody yet. We just started.
What's your name?
Bobby.
What's your name?
David.
David?
Oh, now it's your
Do you live in Larchmont?
No, I live in my house.
And when I saw LMC-TV, I said, they don't need any television. They have everything they need. They're professional. They're even better than us. We are called the LMC-TV of the UN, you see. And then I realized that, no, it still needs me for one thing. Larchmont Mamaroneck, if you think of it, it's a mini UN.
Dark highway, midnight clear and standing all alone.
In the tree was at the Humane Society. We brought him home and we gave him a snack. What do you think of that?
Back from not long ago, still recall you from your early hour. Youth is a wandering troubadour, sailing the singing breeze, wooing a maid on a distant shore over the tossing seas.
This sample tape will self-destruct in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You've been watching LMC-TV's third annual awards presentation. If you would like to get involved with LMC-TV, call or stop by one of our studios. The Palmer Studio, located in Mamaroneck High School, just up the stairs across from Walter's Hot Dogs. It's open Monday through Friday from 3 until 10 p.m. The production coordinator for Studio 1 is Mike Cocci. The phone number, 698-6808. LMC-TV Studio 2 is located in the Mamaroneck Free Library, just off the Emlyn Theater lobby. Its hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The phone number, 381-0131. And the production coordinator for Studio 2 is Brian Wilson. Thanks for watching the LMC-TV 3rd Annual Awards presentation. I'm Roger North.